Hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Rear Winging It F1 podcasts. I'm one of your hosts, Harry McKay, and I'm joined by Ellie Ledwell and Mitchell Manel. Guys, it's the inaugural race, Miami, America. It was big, it was flashy. What do you guys think of the race?
It was something. I think the grid walk was more entertaining than the actual race itself.
Yeah,
more was going on.
Don't get me started. I tuned in and I was about, it just started about 5 minutes, and I've never seen poor Martin Brundle so lost and confused and helpless.
In a sea of people. It was insane. You couldn't move on that, on that grid.
Yeah, it was just a bunch of celebrities.
So many celebrities.
But you didn't know who they were.
I sympathised with them because I didn't know, I think, any of them, really.
I knew Patrick Mahomes, and that was about, that was about it.
He was like, no, yeah. He was like, Patrick, can I get a word, Patrick? And this massive basketball player is just walking in front of him or whatever. And he's like, Patrick. And this guy turns around confused. And he has a bit of a conversation with him and goes, nah, man, I'm not Patrick.
He starts talking about, religion and, how, believe I remind him himself. And then he goes, I'm not actually Patrick.
Not Patrick.
You're wrong guy.
I thought the race was probably the most hyped race I've ever really heard of. New race, it's just so much media and press coverage and stuff. I think they just really wanted it to be a success, and the actual racing maybe didn't quite measure up to what we were promised.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans were a bit cautious because of all that, and because it's Miami and it was in a car park, and it was quite a manufactured track.
It was manufactured to look like Albert Park in Melbourne.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they had the fake marina, which I'm sure everyone's seen.
With the fake water.
The fake water and the boats planted there.
There was 2 little pools in there, and there was some woman
dressed was hot tub things, wasn't
there?
That was it.
Watch a race, don't come to swim in the middle
of
the track.
I was watching that, to be honest.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you what happened in the race.
We just thought, you've paid all that money to come here and you're in a hot tub, but anyway. I did think maybe the racing wasn't as exciting as you'd want a new track to be. You're bringing in new ideas, and it was a bit dull. I will say I do give new tracks 2 times at least to sort of show what they've got, because I remember Baku being a bit of a snooze fest the first time, and then second time onwards I think it's one of my favourite tracks anyway. It's always kind of exciting, so I think it's wait and see. It seems got to have some potential, but definitely for an opening wasn't the best.
And there's a move towards manufacturing a lot of street circuits, fake kind of street circuits like Jeddah and stuff. And they could have made an actual track, but they've chosen to make a street style. It was a car park. There was nothing there. But I just think with the cars being so wide now, getting a street circuit that's narrow, you're never going to see the same kind of overtaking, and you're going to have to be, if there is a crash, it's very likely there's going to have to be a yellow flag because there's no runoff areas and stuff. So I think it's a very different style of racing than you get at some of the other more famous circuits. I
don't think I could have put that better. Street circuits, they're too narrow for these cars, and it's a shame when they're bringing so much more money, I guess, to it, that this is all we kind of get in these subpar street circuits.
A bit underwhelming.
Yeah, it's sort of, having all these new tracks with in the effort to get new fans. But if they tune in and it's just all they're seeing is fancy grid walk, loads of celebrities, fake marina,
I'll take it. I'll watch every week.
Well, yeah, Mitchell might be in, but
I don't think that the fans will stay around watching that kind of event for too long, because I think you're there for the racing, not for the...
I'm there for Martin Brundle.
Well, everyone is.
But, no, I was just put as a track. I thought I wanted to go to Ocean Drive, all the views. That's all I know.
Yeah. Well, it was a street circuit, but not even anywhere really exciting, was it? It's just stadium car park. So
in Vegas, do it in the desert. And they actually go through the...
No, in Vegas is actually down the strip.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So even if that one's rubbish, it won't matter, to be fair.
It will be very, very scenic, and it's at night time, because I think it'd probably be a bit too hot during the day.
It'd be like the star of the F1 calendar.
Yeah.
And the headline.
Well, it's kind of like a Monaco
or Singapore, I think.
Style.
Oh, Singapore.
It's just in that kind of big city kind of feel.
Yeah. But I mean, Monaco is in an event race
Yes.
rather than a race of quality.
Yes, I
It
think
might be, who knows? But
as a driver, it's the one they want to win because it's so prestigious.
yeah,
But as a fan, it's not necessarily the one you want to watch.
There's
no.
Monaco, yeah.
What about Vegas? Do you reckon Vegas will become that trademark? You know, like everyone wants to win that one.
I
don't-
reckon at the start people want to win a new one, bit of prestige, but
It doesn't have
overall,
the history.
yeah, I don't know.
It's like
Maybe.
Monaco and Silverstone. They've got so much history behind them. I think they're probably the two biggest.
But it's Vegas.
Vegas, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
but,
it's definitely.
you know.
At the start, I definitely feel like Ricardo. I reckon would kill for it. I don't know. I feel like at the start they'd all want to win just because it's. Imagine the party afterwards.
Yeah.
Let's return for now to Miami. Same country, but obviously not quite as exciting. Top 3 race result: Max, Leclerc, Sainz, becoming a little bit of a recurring top 3,
Like
at least on
Bottas,
top.
Hamilton,
Yeah.
and Max. Yeah.
Well, Bottas, that's just one. He finished about 10th in most races, didn't he?
Bottas, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, occasionally.
Felt like it anyway.
It definitely seems like Sainz has got things back together after a couple bad races that weren't necessarily his fault, but seems to have his groove back a little bit. Still third, but best he probably could have hoped for.
I think obviously he qualified in second, but the Red Bull seem to have better race pace.
Yeah.
I think it's important. The championship is so tight at the moment. It's really important to get the number 2, or if we call Carlos Sainz the number 2, it's very important to get them delivering good results. And I think this is hopefully you can start to find a bit more consistency.
And with the pace example, they definitely seemed the faster car, Red Bull. And I think Perez, without those engine problems, it seemed they had about 10 horsepower less, I think they said, after those engine troubles.
About 20
or
at
20
some
maybe,
points,
yeah. So I think without that, Perez, I think, would have taken that lead and held it. Whereas obviously didn't quite manage that. If we go for a little bit of a race breakdown, and then in between we can pick out a few of our stars of the race, because there was some, with the sort of fairly lackluster top 3, there was stuff going on in this race. Although, once again, with the camera work, we often missed it. Both Aston Martins had to start in the pit lane. I believe there was a fuel temperature issue.
Yeah, it was too cold, I think.
Yeah, so they're obviously, I think, trying to get the optimal thing, and they just screwed it up, I think.
In Miami.
Yeah, because of like overheating everything, they fake the tire temperature, the fluid temperature to whatever they want, but they'd obviously messed up. So instead of getting any penalties or whatever, they just did it themselves.
They changed it after the time limit, so that meant they had to start in the pit lane, but it meant that they didn't have to incur any penalties.
But that was obviously not what they needed, because Stroll had qualified 10th, which was pretty good in that Aston Martin. So
It's been right at the back, so 10th is a very good position.
Did sort of heroically, I guess, manage to recover that and back to 10th for the finish, which was a hell of a drive really for him.
Yes.
Especially after a sort of weaker start to the season.
Yeah, getting points in the Aston is no easy job, so he did a very good job there.
Yeah. And Ocon as well started at the back after crashing in free practice. So obviously he didn't take part in qualifying. So lap 1, Verstappen takes Sainz off the line. Good expected from him, I think. He's great at starts, and I think Sainz got a bit unlucky there and caught out. Hamilton, though, once again, we're not seeing him being very good at starts this year, I don't think.
No, he's losing a lot of ground off the start, which is uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah, he definitely... I guess you're used to Hamilton being out front and just storming ahead. Good start, storming ahead, and if he rarely gets down to second or whatever, keeping pace or taking that on the start as well. So don't quite know what's going on there. Again, might be a confidence issue, might be him just having trouble with the newer car, but Russell doesn't seem to be having as such bad starts.
Yeah, or maybe he doesn't have the same confidence in the car underneath him to get him to turn into the corners. Maybe he's having to be a bit more apprehensive.
Yeah, maybe he is just taking things a bit more careful. When you're stuck a bit more in the midfield, when you're used to being out front.
It's easy to get boxed in as well, and then you end up not losing out to 1 or 2, but you could easily lose 3 or 4 places if you're not careful.
Well, we'll have this discussion now then. Obviously, there was a safety car, and Hamilton, he does like a moan, as a lot of the drivers do. I don't want to pick on him too much.
So Max isn't much better.
No. When you lose, when you're losing, you moan. But he was saying to his engineer, "I got get so unlucky with these safety cars, man." Again, a constant thing he brings up. But do you guys feel that that's all the way true? He's just unlucky. Do you feel like this is strategy? Should he be making the most out of it?
I think it's a bit of both. I think you make your own luck.
Yeah.
So I think that comes from strategy, and they've been unlucky, but they picked the strategy. So it is unlucky, but they've created their own luck by picking the strategy.
Russell obviously stayed out for a very, very long time. He only pitted on lap 42, and he was saying on the radio, "I'm waiting for a safety car," so he knew it was likely. But that is also a very risky strategy, because if it doesn't come, then you've lost. You're gonna lose out.
Yeah.
So how many times have you seen that though? And that hasn't happened.
Well,
So many times.
but this season that seems to be what Russell's doing. A lot of the sort of drivers, when they do that, they get unlucky, and perhaps that is a consequence of these sort of street circuits as well. If you're more likely to have crashes, it seems like it might be 70% chance of one or something, so you'd be sort of stupid not to
gamble.
If the percentage wise, it's not a risky gamble, at least it doesn't seem to be, and maybe that is where Hamilton's getting unlucky because they're taking the opposite strategy. But I would argue that when these safety cars happen, he's not jumping on these opportunities, whether it's him, the driver that's making the call, or whether it's the strategists. Every other driver is coming into the pits, bang, bang, bang. They don't even think about it. It's like, we got this opportunity, let's take it and see what happens.
Even under a virtual safety car, not even a full safety car, that everyone else seems to be
doing it. And Hamilton's like, what do I do? And he just stays out, and then he comes back round, and then
the gap has closed,
someone else broke down in the pit lane, he couldn't get in, and all this stuff. And the gap closes. So
I think there's not very many expectations on George this season. Everyone knows he's a great driver, but people are expecting him to take time to get used to the new team, the new car.
I'm not sure. I thought I had him challenging.
But I think that it's easier for him to take a riskier strategy, because if it doesn't pay off, there'll be less criticism of him than
I think it's going to be the exact same criticism as Lewis did it. Maybe a bit more, but it's still high criticism.
I have to agree. I think maybe in his mind he can do that a bit more, but I think, everyone that expected him to do great things, I think the criticism would be heaping up if he was...
I just think as a number 2 driver, it always do the opposite of the number 1. They're in a battle of their own. The two of them, no team is really near them. They're kind of in no man's land. They're only battling with each other, so... if you're Russell, why wouldn't you just do the opposite of Lewis's strategy?
But it almost seems like Russell is setting this agenda, and Hamilton seems to be floating around not knowing what he's doing. Like when he's on the radio call, this is not a man who seems confident in his own strategy and experienced. Yeah, he seems, I don't want to, but he seems more like the younger things of Russell, or maybe Russell's not such good. Like Norris, if Norris is put in an unpredictable situation, you hear his voice start to crack and he seems panicked, and and it feels almost like that's what Hamilton's doing. He's not taking the initiative anymore.
I think there's pressure as well. I think pressure comes to it as well.
Yeah.
And all the poor performances start to build up, and you just don't think straight.
Or maybe he's just not fully got his mind in it, because he's just running around in the midfield is not really battling.
Yeah. I mean, I always said I don't see him sticking around in a midfield team. So you put him in a, albeit top of the midfield team car. But is that winning drive still there?
That's how Alonso feels.
Yeah, but Alonso, I think, is different, right? Because he's in that car and he wants to take it to the top, and his heart's still in it. Whereas, I don't know, after a crushing loss that wasn't really all his fault last season, that's got to take a toll.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't think he's in it anymore. It might come back, but
it's hard to be in love with a sport when it's
been taken away from you pretty much.
Yeah. Whereas Alonso is still very much in love with Formula One. He really wants to win. He still has that passion and that drive. And maybe after the events of last season, maybe Lewis has just lost that a little bit.
Moving on. Obviously, one of the safety cars and one of the sort of crashes that we did have, Norris, unfortunately. Did we think, after Miami getting on the podium, McLaren seemed to be back. He finished, 19th, obviously.
He
retired,
out,
right?
Yeah.
So 19th in the standing, but yeah, not really the race that they'd wanted. Qualified 8th, so not even the best qualifying, really.
Yeah, but compared to Daniel Ricciardo qualifying in 14th, Norris did quite a good job, but the car just didn't seem to have it. And to go from Imola getting a podium to not even scoring any points, it's disappointing.
Do we think that's track related, possibly?
Potentially, maybe the new track, maybe the
bit hotter weather.
It might not
maybe
be
it's
their
not.
track, exactly.
Yeah. Even from not their track. Obviously, Norris not finishing, Daniel Ricciardo finishing 13th. Not a good race. Not a race. No points there. Moving on. Obviously, about lap 20, Max is leading. Perez starts to complain of engine problems. They seem to have got it under control, and nothing too bad happened there. But do we think these reliability issues are going to face their head again when we come to Barcelona, which is quite a high degradation track, might be quite tough on the cars, or Monaco perhaps? Or do we think maybe they have got it under control now?
I think obviously Max has got back-to-back wins, so the engine's obviously there. It's good enough. It's fast. But there's so many little niggly problems with it. How long's it going to take for them to make this a reliable engine? I think
it's just a new engine. And there's always going to be issues with it. I'm surprised how well it's actually doing. I didn't give it... I give it... it's going to do quite well, but I didn't think it would do this well.
Yeah.
And compete with Ferrari, or I thought Mercedes at the time. But
obviously Honda pulling out. But
yeah, it's issues going to be expected. I'm surprised with the heat as well. There's going to be a small issue, is it?
Yeah, that was a bit nerve-wracking, especially with the hot weather, when Perez was saying that. And he was saying, there's something wrong. And they're like, nope, no, there isn't. It's like, no, I'm telling you, something's wrong.
The sensors weren't working properly.
Happened 2 races ago was Max Verstappen, didn't it?
Yeah.
And he said there was something wrong. They're like, nope.
Yeah, and then the car just stopped.
Yeah, it's on fire, isn't it?
Yeah, that might have been the time it was on fire. Jesus. So yeah, lap 42, Russell pitted, obviously, because of the safety car. Gasly went wide at that point. I'm not sure there was any penalties for that, was there?
I don't think so.
Which I think because of the sort of relative damage between them, that seemed fair, maybe?
I think a lot of people were running wide at that turn 8. It was Leclerc did it and he lost about 2 seconds in his lap earlier on in the race. But when he was rejoining the racing line, he didn't check, I guess, his mirrors. I guess Norris wasn't expecting him Norris wasn't expecting him to swing out in the way he did. But it is a tight track. Things like that are always gonna happen.
I think it's fine. My identical twin.
Obviously you're not gonna knock Gasly.
Yeah, got back for Gasly.
Yeah, at first I was, I did think maybe that was should have been a penalty, but after reviewing, he didn't seem to look in his mirrors, but because it's so tight, because it's so fast around there, just a racing incident, I think. Unfortunate one for both drivers who were...
How many drivers use their mirrors? Like, at that speed?
They're so small as well.
Yeah, but they're constantly looking at them.
Huh?
They are constantly looking at them.
Oh.
Especially, like... when you need, especially when you need them. Yeah, they might be a little bit better drivers than you, though, Mitchell. Just a tad.
Not see me on the A1 also. I do pretend I'm Pierre Gasly sometimes.
From the times I've been in your car, I
Yeah.
can tell.
Except
I
you
was
would
more like a Mazepin, really.
you'd get disqualified because you don't pay attention to any of the flags or lights, red lights in this case, on the road.
Wait, it's lights?
Yeah.
Oh.
So after the safety car, we had a few pits. Perez right behind Sainz. Obviously, with the Red Bull increasing pace, we did think he was going to get it, but locked up. Then with the slightly damaged engine, couldn't capitalize on that. So
Yeah, he couldn't get back into the DRS zone.
no, so a bit of a Ferrari sandwich there with the Red Bulls on either side. Moving on, constructors, 157 points Ferrari, 151 Red Bull. After the opening race of the season, or first few races, Ferrari had quite a big lead with all the DNFs. Are you guys surprised at how quick that constructors comeback has been, at least?
Not really. We're so early on in the season, and there's so much has changed. I really didn't. After that first race, I really just didn't want to make any more predictions. To be honest, anything can happen. So
I am surprised. I thought Ferrari would be winning by a margin with like breakdowns. I just thought they had a faster car as well at the time. So fair play. Mercedes are third. That does surprise me.
Yeah,
a bit.
Well, they had.
But I guess all the cars have been doing rubbish, haven't they?
Yeah, they had issues, but still somehow. Well, not somehow. They're reliably third, and they had a lot of luck
they've got George
to score a lot of points. Yeah.
With Ferrari and Red Bull having either maybe a not a reliable driver or not a reliable engine, Mercedes have been
picking up points,
the points that the other teams have dropped. So.
They have, yeah. I would say there's been like the best of the worst.
Yeah,
the best of the rest. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, the worst, really. I think all the cars have been.
Mercedes have been. Yeah, Mercedes have been fairly consistent, apart from Hamilton having some poor, not making it into Q2. The actual points wise, they've been fairly okay at just hitting the same places over and over. Russell being in the, I think it's top 5 every race. So that's, in that car, that's good and that's consistent.
It's very good, very incredible to be that consistent, but obviously 5th isn't gonna. No, it's not going to do much for your points wise. But
I'm surprised how quick Red Bull caught up though, and like how close it is now. They've made it.
I'd say as well, especially after that third race when they broke down again.
No, yeah, twice back to back, wasn't it?
If we're speaking about last season, every DNF felt like a hammer blow. Because it was so tight, and when we were expecting this to be tight as well, I think maybe not thinking logically so much, but I did think, oh dear, this is it. Ferraris have it, but the Red Bull seems faster at most tracks so far.
Its straight line speed is quite a lot quicker.
Moving on, Schumacher on for his very first points and hits the fellow German Vettel. This was got to be heart wrenching for a lot of Schumacher fans, but. Is this again his inexperience shining through? I think
so. I think he was used to running around at the back with
one to hit.
Blue flags, I guess. So now maybe he's just not as experienced on these kind of tracks in this kind of speed, racing against these kind of drivers. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Vettel seemed quite annoyed on the radio, saying, "Where was the gap? I couldn't see a gap," but. From different angles, it tells a bit of a different story.
It felt like he could have definitely given him more. There was space to give more, but
yeah, I think he's looking better though. Even with the crash, I think he's looking better. We'll see more of him for sure, and he's competing, so it's good to see him. I think he sort of he's he's sort of earning his spot as a driver. Just not by his name. I think he's actually earning it.
I think he's definitely stepped up, and he's not been in the points yet, but he has gotten a bit unlucky. A lot of it is his own mistakes, but if he can switch it on and get rid of some of those mistakes, I think scoring occasional points will be enough for keeping him in the seat.
And I think his name will keep him there, to be honest, for a couple of years.
He finished above Kevin Magnussen in this race, so that is that is quite a big.
It's probably more Magson's off day than Schumacher's day, to be fair.
But you take what you get.
Yeah,
exactly. You would. Simpson, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Newcastle 2-0 winning against Arsenal, you know?
Yeah. 15th and 16th, though, is... 15th and 16th for Haas is not what they would have wanted, though, so not too much celebrations there.
I think if you'd have asked them last season, they would have been happy, but with how this season started, I think they'd want more from it.
Those cars can be in the points.
Couldn't get any worse last season, to be fair, so...
No, literally couldn't.
You finished down to one driver. It's like boxing with one hand.
Other standout drivers, Ocon started 20th, finished in 8th.
It was a very good drive.
Pretty good drive.
Obviously, there were 3 non-finishers and a few hits and a bit of argy-bargy, but...
He made it through unscathed.
He made it through, yeah, so I was...
I'm pretty sure at the start of this podcast I said Ocon was better than Fernando Alonso.
I think I might have been the one to say that.
No,
I actually think we were championing Alonso and Mitchell said he's 40, retire pretty much.
So I'm pretty sure I said that.
Alonso in 11th, so still, fairly decent. Penalties bringing him down.
Yeah, you got two 5-second ones, I think, totaling 10, which is what pushed Ocon and Albon up into the points, but for Albon as well, a very good drive. Yeah,
another standout performance there, 18th to 9th.
Is it him or the car?
Is what him and the car?
Well, who's performing better? Is it the car performing, getting him to 9th, or is he like outperforming the car?
I think he's doing a great job. I mean, obviously Latifi's not the best driver or really that good at all, but he is consistently outscoring him a lot. Latifi in 14th. So you need to let that go, Mitchell.
I have to let it go, but I still cry myself to sleep with it. So. But
I think that Latifi isn't having a great season, but then maybe he's never really had a great season.
No, not really.
Is he last? I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
See, something about average season, to be fair.
I think Albon is outperforming the car. Maybe Latifi's underperforming it.
Yeah. I think it's a lot better car they have this year than they've had for a while.
Yes, second half of last season was, I think, probably better than this. I think it almost feels like a step back. But maybe the upgrades they're doing are working a bit, because Albon obviously scraping in the points a couple of times. We know Albon's a good drive, to fair,
from his time at... it changes his name every time. AlphaTauri, is it?
He was at Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull.
AlphaTauri now.
Yeah, he didn't have a great run at Red Bull.
No, but he had a good run at like a lesser car.
Yeah, he is a good driver.
Yeah, and Red Bull, even though they did drop him from the team, they still kept him as one of their drivers, junior drivers. So I think they still knew he was a good driver, but maybe it was just too soon for him to be in that Red Bull seat.
Everyone struggles at a second Red Bull seat, to be fair.
Yeah.
Might be cursed.
Well, Perez is doing pretty well, I'd say.
No,
but,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Back.
How,
but like Gasly and Albon.
Yeah, it's a difficult car to drive historically.
And last year as well, I didn't think he had Perez had, apart from that amazing defense, he didn't have a great season.
No, I agree. We did see, once again, though, quite a lot of this whole DRS train thing that we've been seeing a lot, with cars unable to pass, but being able to follow a lot closer. Sort of feels like a bit monkey paw of a wish when we said, I just want them to be able to follow closer, and now it's happened, but they can't overtake. What can we do to solve this?
I do not know. I think you could make the DRS flaps a bit smaller, so then the DRS is less of an advantage. So then you might, because you see it and there'll be a car that's 0.9 seconds back, so it's only just getting the DRS, but the DRS keeps it in contention every time, and it will keep in the DRS for several laps, and even though it's not going to take that place back, the person behind them then can't get past them, and I don't know.
I think they should get rid of DRS, turn the cars more into bumper cars to allow them to attack them more into corners.
Maybe have the DRS only available for like a certain a number of laps or something, so you're more strategical with when you use it. I don't know.
My only thing would be, I think it was the race before Imola, I can't. Or maybe it was a couple before. With the rain, the changing rain, most of the race DRS was off.
Yes.
And it was boring.
Yeah.
Nothing was happening.
No, you have to stick with DRS, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think it makes it more exciting. But I think it's too powerful, though, because of the new cars, so I don't know what to do. I think
is DRS... What I'm saying is, if without DRS they're in this train, with lots of DRS they're in this train, you know, is that maybe not making the difference? Is it just...
I think it's the cars. I think
cars too wide.
You change regulations again. Back to where Mercedes was good.
Simple solution.
I found the racing actually better. The racing's good.
No.
I agree. The
cars are a lot nicer as well.
The teams are further apart now. There's a bigger gap in the teams.
Only from the front two. The rest of the midfield is fairly close. But every regulation change, someone gets it right, and they storm ahead.
But
the Red Bulls had it, then the Mercedes had it. Now, you know, Ferrari and Red Bull seem quicker.
Give it a few years and it will even out again. But changing the regulations is in like a knee-jerk reaction is never going to make the racing closer straight away because there's different interpretations.
Yeah.
So I think...
But over time, maybe we'll see...
But do you not think if we'd have stuck with the regulations that were already in place, we'd have seen
You've got to innovate. You've got to change things up because then you're seeing, you know, Mercedes had been the fastest constructors for 8 years in a row. You know, I think it's good to have change, to change things up. And the whole sport is about innovation and change, and this has allowed that.
Just to make Ferrari win a title.
Just to finally get Ferrari back to winning. And Red Bull going to screw that up for them, I reckon. But
who knows?
We'll see.
It's way too early.
It's just too early. And I think after more development time, see what the cars are like next season, the season after. Obviously, we got an engine freeze for a while, but...
there's quite a lot of upgrades coming in Spain. I know that Aston Martin may be copying the Red Bull this time, not the Mercedes. I don't think anyone wants to copy that.
They've got a history, don't they, of doing it?
Well, I was going to save this for next week, but we can get into it a little bit because obviously we're recording this just before Barcelona, and we have seen the new cars. I mean, all I'll say is the Red Bull pit crew had cans of Red Bull. Each one of them, and they were all green. They were all the green editions, and I thought that summed it up best. Quite an obvious copy, and with their history, obviously under a different team name, seems a little bit suspicious.
Yes, I would say suspicious is a nice way of putting it.
So if they stop Red Bull from winning, then fair play.
Well, Horner put it quite well. He seemed quite diplomatic. But he did.
He's not going to challenge them.
Well, that was exactly what he said. He said it doesn't bother us because they won't be challenging us, but the other teams might complain.
Yeah, he's just talking facts.
It's a compliment, though, isn't it? If another team wants to copy you, you're obviously doing something right.
I think he might have said that as well. I think he genuinely might have said that. It's flattering or something like that.
Oh, was he not complaining about the pink arrow?
He wasn't. I don't think Red Bull were one of the first, but by the end, all other 9 teams had protested. But we'll wait and see if it's fast though.
Let's just hope Max doesn't touch it.
Get a big old fine.
Yeah, literally.
You need Inspector Seb. I guess it's his own team this time. So. Driver of the day. Let's return to this race. Driver of the day. Ellie, who are you thinking?
I feel like we always go for either Ocon or Albon because they're not in great cars. But I'm going to go a bit rogue and I'm going to go Lance Stroll.
Yeah, okay.
Just because he started in the pit lane through no fault of his own. You know, it's not like he crashed so he couldn't take part in qualifying. You know, he was in there because of a team error. But no, I thought he raced well to get back up to 10th and to get the car in the points. I thought was a hell of a drive.
I don't want to go Ocon or Albon, but I think I'm going to go Ocon.
Yeah.
I just think going 20th to 8th is incredible. It's a massive leap, and he looked good getting that 8th as well. I could give it to George, but it's quite hard.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to give it to Bottas until he went off the track right at the end and gave both Mercedes the places up. But because of that, I say I'll give it to Russell. You know, obviously qualified 12th was poor, but to come back and get 5th. Decent strategy. Got lucky with it a bit. But,
he was really struggling with the car on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Mr. Saturday no longer. He couldn't get the porpoising under control, I think.
But now he's Mr. Sunday, so
good thing Sundays are where the points are,
Yeah.
No point qualifying high.
If
and
there's
then,
a sprint race,
yeah. Well, unless you qualify high, it gets rained and cooled off, and then you get the points.
Yes, that's the perfect one. You only have to race 2 laps.
Yeah.
Hope the rain carries on into Barcelona.
Well,
right now.
I will look forward to Barcelona. Bit more of a windy track. Lots of low speed, high speed corners. Lots of different sort of stuff there. Obviously, where they use it for testing. Anyone want to give a little prediction for who they think's going to win that one? Go out on a limb.
I'm going to say Sergio Perez.
Ooh.
It's out there. I'm on the limb, and I'm there.
Lewis Hamilton?
I think that might be a bit too far.
I don't know.
They got some upgrades. They're bringing upgrades, so we'll see.
Yeah, let's go Lewis Hamilton.
All right, you're insane, but no,
maybe.
Maybe.
Probably I'll go Max. I think Max goes. Yeah, back to back.
I think the Ferrari are looking a bit quicker, but I'm just gonna go for Sergio because why not?
Why not?
Yeah. I'm thinking Ferrari be quicker, but home race. I'm gonna say Carlos Sainz. Say Carlos Sainz with that little boost. I think the Ferraris will be quicker, and maybe he'll be faster than Leclerc. But now I'm thinking maybe Leclerc's gonna be faster, so I'm saying Leclerc's gonna bin it. Maybe even crash into Max.
Do you know
then Sainz wins.
Do you know what, like a surprise winner?
Oh, I'd love it. Yeah.
Fernando Alonso.
Alonso, even better.
That'd be incredible. A home race as well.
Yeah.
But Lewis Hamilton, that could be some story to come back.
It's not. Yeah, it's not really. It's a surprise, I guess, because they've been shit. But it's not.
But you want competition though.
If Lewis Hamilton wins, it's because Max, Charles, Carlos, and Sergio have all crashed out.
And then Norris probably. Not Norris.
It was Red Bull's.
Russell's probably crashed out too.
So it was Red Bull's engine issues and Leclerc crashing every time.
Yeah,
that's true. And Sainz isn't much better. It's likely.
Yeah. The man makes a decent point. If it's not one of the top 4, and it's a surprise-ish but still realistic, put Bottas on there.
Yes, we've got half of them on the podium now.
Well, no, the rest have crashed out. It's it's Bottas is alone. Everyone else has crashed. And it's still probably Bottas has still somehow managed to swerve off the track and come second. So, well, this has been an eventful episode. We got fairly distracted at times. Final thoughts. Our favourite section of the show. Ellie, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I think that they should stop making races in America, and we want a second race in the UK. And I'm going to start a petition. I say we take it to government.
I say you bring it to York.
Bring it to York.
Perfect.
We've got no space.
Yeah. Race around the Minster.
Around the Minster in a circle. Just around.
We've got a car park at uni.
That's true. We've got our own car park. We can make some. We don't need fake water. We've got the lake. Beautiful.
Perfect.
Beautiful
lake.
Gooses.
Yeah.
The geese.
And
same thing.
With the changing track conditions, it floods here quite a lot. That could be interesting. Ooh, Sector 2's flooded, guys. What are you going to do?
Get your wellies out.
Yeah.
Cars just come to like a boat, like hovercraft.
Like some James Bond style.
That's what I'm thinking.
Mitchell, any last thoughts that can top Ellie's?
I'm trying to figure out what the difference between a goose and a geese is.
There's
not a difference, is there?
Geese are plural.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
I knew that.
You have a roast goose, but there's like a gaggle of geese.
But a roast goose? You're not having roast geese, are you?
No, having
it
multiple
depends how
geese.
hungry you are.
You only can have one.
Okay. Well, why are you eating goose?
Because haven't you seen how many there are out there?
What? Yeah, I don't look at them and go put them on the barbecue.
Well, with the rise in food prices, we're going to start.
I know, £5 for chicken, I say no.
Yeah.
Sainsbury's. Ridiculous that.
My final thoughts, I say we scrap the race. We extend the
and we get a cooking show.
The sort of starting line. We can put that all the way around the track. Fill it with celebs. We get Brundle down there, 2 hours, him looking lost and confused. Best thing I've ever seen.
To be fair, I would watch that as a feature-length film.
Put it in cinemas,
Put it in
Get him on Brundle.
Highest
He is
rate.
driver of the day and he didn't
drive. I'll change my driver of the day vote.
Yeah, that is a rear wing in it. Final thoughts. Martin Brundle, driver of the day. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time in Barcelona.